How to marry smart. 7 methods I shouldn't recommend, but absolutely will. Sarcasm. Absurdity. 1,000 ways to stay single forever, but hey, some of them actually work. Getting married is easy. You just need someone who's emotionally stable, communicates well, and occasionally changes his socks. There are, 3 of those people on Earth. 2 are taken. Marrying well, though? That's a little trickier. But not much. All it takes is a decent face, some patience, and just the right amount of calculated scheming. If you're willing to explore the darker corners of human nature, you'll see, it's easier than the plot twist in a rom-com. Today, I'm sharing 7 unconventional ways to lock it down with strategic brilliance. Morality has left the chat. And method number 7? It's not just clever, it's a masterclass in boldness. You'll either hate it or laugh about it over wine with your best friend. 1. High school investment plan. It may sound like the cringy opening to a bad teen rom-com on Netflix, but don't laugh, because it actually works. At 16, while others are chasing the football captain, you're scanning for raw potential. Not the prettiest face in the class, but the guy quietly building websites in the back row. You stick around. Cheer through all-nighters, pretend to love crypto, and support him through every failed project. By 25, he's day trading. By 30, he's running a company and speaking at tech conferences. And you're the co-founder of his story. And technically, his cat. Pros? He's convinced he'd be lost without you. Cons? You spent a decade living on ramen and hope, just to finally afford sushi on 4th Avenue. 2. Party Sparkle Method. As ancient as Las Vegas nightlife and just as unpredictable. You show up wearing a dress that probably violates at least 3 public decency laws. He smells like Axe body spray, mixed with equal parts hope and hopelessness. How it works? You dance like you've been temporarily possessed by Beyoncé in a live wire. You laugh at his joke, even if it's something like, "Are you TikTok? Because I just can't stop watching you." 3 days later, you're in his stories. 3 months later, you're in his apartment. A year later, neon wedding photos. And The Weeknd playing in the background. Pros, even you won't believe it actually worked. Cons, your first couple photo is still his profile pic. Uncropped. Unfiltered. And painfully cringe. Sugar daddy mode, rich, generous, slightly senile. It's basically a fairy tale if Cinderella had Teslas instead of glass slippers and a prenup thicker than the Bible. How it works? You just happen to get lost while casually wandering near a luxury car dealership. You pretend not to know the difference between Uber Black and a black card. Out of nowhere, a charming gentleman appears, with silver hair, a 6-figure watch, and a heart condition. He offers help. You offer confusion. It's love. A few lavish dinners, spa weekends, and suspiciously generous shopping trips later, he calls you his sunshine. By month 6, you're wearing pearls. By year 1, you're wearing white, and signing papers thicker than your thesis. Pros, a wedding so glamorous even the waiters wear Rolexes. Cons, you're 29. He's 92. And he sometimes calls you by his late wife's name. On purpose. Maybe. Four, fake it till you wet it. Why risk being yourself when you can be her? You know, the mysterious woman who walks like she just got off a private jet, drinks only sparkling water, and says things like, "I advise early-stage startups on sustainable growth." She's confident. She's successful. She replies to emails with "let's circle back." And her LinkedIn is a power move in itself, curated to perfection, endorsed by people with blue check marks. How it works? First date, you casually mention your TEDx talk on innovation, obviously. You throw around words like scalability and NFT burnout recovery. He's mesmerized. Over the next months, you stay in full character. Power suits, productivity planners, morning yoga stories, the whole fantasy. By the wedding, he thinks he married a Forbes 30 under 30 finalist. Then one night, you lean in close and whisper, "Actually, I'm a freelancer. I once designed a logo for my cousin's band. Still working on that design course, though." Pros: he's still too dazzled to notice. Cons: you now run a fake productivity-themed Instagram with daily reels and motivational quotes. Forever. 5. Broken but beautiful. You're basically the human version of a sad indie song. Soft voice, big eyes, always carrying a notebook filled with half-finished poems and forgotten dreams. Sweet, shaky, slightly tragic, but in an aesthetically pleasing, Instagram-filtered kind of way. How it works? He asks, "So, tell me about yourself." You pause, sigh gently, and say, "Well, I had a toxic ex, a cold mother, a windowless apartment, and a deep relationship with instant ramen." Then add, "But now I'm on a healing journey. Yoga, crystals, breathwork, occasional crying into a scented candle." He listens like it's a TED Talk. A few days later, you're crying softly on his shoulder while indie music plays in the background. A few weeks later, you're basically living at his place, sipping tea and quoting Rupee Kaur. One day he looks into your eyes and says, "I want to protect you." Proposal incoming. Pros: works wonders on saviors, therapists, and guys who read emotional intelligence books unironically. Cons: congratulations. You're now his emotional rehab project. Almost pregnant, high risk, high ring. Classic trick. Vintage strategy. Just updated for the iPhone generation. Desperate times call for highly questionable methods, and this one? It's like emotional skydiving, without a parachute. How it works? You accidentally send him a photo of a very convincing, very positive pregnancy test. Caption: "We need to talk." Follow it up immediately with, "Oops, sorry, wrong person." Now sit back and watch. His face turns the color of unsweetened almond milk. Panic. Reflection. Existential dread. Suddenly, he's calling you 3 times a day and asking about your childhood dreams. A week later, he's shopping for rings just in case. A month later, you drop the bomb, "I lost the baby, but I found something else." You. Cue dramatic hug. Cue romantic montage. Cue legally binding commitment. Pros: adrenaline rush, off the charts. Emotional stakes, Oscar-worthy. Success rate, surprisingly high, especially among men with Catholic guilt or strong family pressure. Cons: you're now starring in a fake pregnancy arc. But also, yeah, it works. 7. Soft invasion, just move in. No contract. No conversation. No commitment, just presence. You don't need permission if you have patience and a throw blanket. How it works? Night 1, "I'll just crash here, it's late." Night 2, "Oops, forgot my charger, can I borrow yours?" Then, the slow rollout of personal belongings. First a toothbrush, then a hair tie, then a mug with your initial on it. A plant that just needed more sunlight. A skillet that mysteriously ends up in his kitchen. Soon there's almond milk in the fridge and oat scrub in the shower. By week 3, you're feeding his cat. By week 4, his mom knows your name. By month 2, there's a second drawer with your socks. And then it hits him. Wait, do you live here now? Cue awkward laugh. Cue sudden panic. Cue realization he low-key loves it. Pros. 0 effort cohabitation. He starts thinking of we instead of me. You basically become a human version of comfort. Cons. You're a live-in ninja. If he's not into it, you may get ghosted from inside his own home. Also, you've technically been trespassing for 2 months. But hey, it's not invasion. It's just strategic presence. Conclusion: read the fine print before you wed. You probably shouldn't try these. Like, legally, don't. But just like cold pizza at 2 a.m., questionable choices sometimes, weirdly work. These methods aren't blueprints. They're stunts. Fun? Absolutely. Effective? Occasionally. Sustainable? About as much as a diet that starts on Monday. Marrying someone? Honestly, that's the easy part. You smile, you pose, you say I do, and the cake is decent. But staying married? That's when the Wi-Fi breaks, the bills pile up, he forgets your birthday, and suddenly you're crying over a burnt lasagna. It's not about how you got him. It's about whether you still like each other after assembling IKEA furniture together at midnight. Choose your path wisely. If it starts with a party dress, a toothbrush, or a faked pregnancy test, well, at least it won't be boring. And sometimes not boring is the best you can hope for. Worst case scenario? You end up running back to your mom. Or joining a convent. Or starting a podcast about red flags and second chances. Either way, you'll have a story.